Welcome back to Rock'em Sock'em Radio. I'm your host, the People's Interim Champ. We're doing something a bit different. We're getting loose today. We're doing a tier list, and a tier list is for the most delusional fighters in the UFC. S-tier is for the most delusional. D-tier is the least delusional. You get how it works. Let's go. We're starting things off with Michael Chandler in the A-tier. And I'll tell you why he's in the A-tier. Because that Conor McGregor fight ain't happening. And if it does, he's probably fumbled the bag anyway. Conor McGregor's not as big as he used to be. He would have made just as much money if he stayed active in that 2-year period, got fights, stayed relevant, but now he's got ring rust and he's been trolled by Conor McGregor, so he's in the A tier. Next up is McKenzie Dern. I'm putting her in the D list for D tier, and she's in there for her accent. We all know she's got an American accent. She was born in Arizona. There's videos of her speaking an American accent, and all of a sudden she's faking the funk, and she just doubles down. She won't admit she's got a fake accent, but she's got pretty privilege. She's in D tier. Next up is CM Punk, also in the A tier. Kind of admire him because he's, late 30s, 40s, going into MMA. Not even an amateur, straight to the UFC. Not even professional, straight to the UFC because Father Time said, this is your last chance. So for that sole reason, he's not in the S tier, but he came in with no martial arts background, got a blue belt in jiu-jitsu and thought he was the shit, so he's in A list. I'm getting controversial and put Max Holloway on C tier because he's been put in UFC 300 to go up to the lightweight division to fight Justin Gaethje. Every time he goes up to lightweight, he doesn't bulk up. He's got 3 months' notice to fight Justin Gaethje. He was coming off the couch fight Dustin Poirier, 2 top lightweights. If he just bulked up, he might stand a chance. So I'm putting him on the delusional list. Next up is Phil Hawes. He's in D tier because I feel sorry for him. He's actually a really good striker, but he's got a glass jaw. He keeps getting knocked out by not even power shots at this point. He has good head movement, but it's predictable, and he just keeps getting knocked out. It's time someone lets him know. It's time, kid. So I like him. He's entertaining. He's a decent striker. So for that, I'm putting him on the D tier. Next up's Brendan Schaub. He's not even in the UFC anymore, but I'm putting him on A tier for that old statement he made that he thought he could out-wrestle Cain Velasquez, one of the best heavyweights of all time. So he's on the A tier. Plus, it's just easy to hate on Brendan, so why not join him for a little bit? Next, we have Mark Hunt in B tier, which pains me because he's one of my favourite fighters of all time. But Mark Hunt suing the UFC was a bad idea. Everyone knows you don't sue the fat cats, you don't sue the monopoly. It can only go wrong. So for that reason, he's delusional. He was right, though, I'll give him that. Next up, you've been waiting for this one, it's Ian Garry. He goes all the way in S tier for the as delusional as it gets, the special tier of delusional. He talks so much smack, and when someone calls him out finally, he suddenly buries his head in the sand. It's the worst PR move ever. He's delusional if he thinks that's going to work. Not only that, he came in the UFC, really popular. Now he's the most hated fighter. He makes a video as an Al-Qaeda hostage reading from a piece of paper from his wife. It's clearly messing with his head. It's going to mess with his career and his fight game. So for that reason, he's messed up his career. He's an S tier. Next is Anthony Smith on the B tier. Keep this man away from the microphone. He should not be allowed to be on the podcast. And if he is, don't ask him about his career. He's mega delusional. He said he's only a couple techniques away from John Jones, even though he literally handed his own teeth to the referee after getting them knocked out by a 79-year-old Glover Teixeira. Anthony Smith also tries to fuel himself with the power of delusion. When he was fighting Johnny Walker, he made up things. You're coming after my family, just to fuel himself. So because of that, actually no, I'll keep him on B tier because he's competitive. I get the reason why. He's delusional to be competitive. So for that reason, he stays on B tier, doesn't move any higher. Next we have Tony Ferguson on the A tier, and yes, this hurts me as much as it hurts everyone else, but the man's on a 7-fight losing streak, and his last loss was Paddy Pimblett, and he doesn't want to retire. He's going to keep fighting. He doesn't realise the UFC is just taking advantage of him. He doesn't realise he's going to get Super CTE at this point. That's delusional. Valentina Shevchenko is next on D tier. The next Chel P. Sonnen apparently never ever lost a fight apparently, but she is good, and maybe she's delusional to stay competitive in her mind, so I'm giving her D tier for that reason. Next up we got Colby Covington on the B tier. Colby. I used to think you were a marketing genius with how you marketed your own career, but now you can't tell things aren't working, and yet you double down on the Trump stuff. It's only going to make things worse. Is literally going to be one of the most hated guys now. I mean, genuinely hated. Before he was like fun fake hated, but now it's real hate, and then people are going to be indifferent. So he's on B tier. Next, we're putting BJ Penn on a C tier. Now, BJ's a legend, so he's staying on C-Tier. Can't put him any higher, but all I'm saying is, do yourself a favour, Google BJ Penn, talk about politics. The man thinks he's the Hawaiian Donald Trump. It's actually low-key hilarious. So, yeah, he's staying on C-Tier because he's a legend now. Next up is Conor McGregor in the A-Tier, a.k.a. the grown crack baby. He says it's the greatest comeback of all time. I don't even think he's coming back, and if it does, Michael Chandler's going to mess him up. But watch how purple and angry he's going to get when someone accuses him of using steroids and he denies it. So for that reason, he's on the A list. Next up is another one for the A tier. It's Katori Kakuno. You probably don't remember because he was a UFC fighter cut 10 years ago from the lightweight division. But he deserves to be on this list despite not fighting the UFC for 10 years. The reason why is because he came in the UFC as a stubborn Okinawan Kempo karate fighter. That meant chin in the air, 2 hands straight out, chest height. And you know the amount of times he got knocked out from that obvious stance. He would never move his arms. They're always straight out like a zombie. But do yourself a favour, watch one of his fights. Maybe the fight against young Tony Ferguson, because it's comically bad. Next up we have Sean O'Malley, because he actually believes his shit doesn't stink. He genuinely believes he's going to be bigger than Conor McGregor. And when he says it, I don't think it's for marketing reasons. I think he actually believes it, even though his pay-per-view sales have been terrible and his numbers aren't the same. I think he genuinely believes he's undefeated and Chito Vera got lucky when he calf kicked him and then TKO'd him. I mean, the list goes on, but generally speaking, he just believes everything he says, which is actually pretty hilarious. It's a great source of entertainment, but he's not going to get those numbers. So he's an S tier. Ooh, we got Macy Barber joining at S tier. The reason why I put Macy Barber S tier, because she came in the game saying she beat John Jones to be the youngest champion in the UFC. You can't curse yourself like that. You can't say I'm going to beat a John Jones record. That's the most delusional thing on this list. Next up on A tier is Paddy the Baddie Pimblett for that Jared Gordon denial. He clearly lost that fight and he doubled down and said I won. He should have really said, you know what, I'm going to have to watch that fight back again. That way he would have swerved all this mess and all this nonsense and he'd have his huge fan base still. So he's ruined his career by just being in denial. Next we have Chris Weidman in B tier for coming back after breaking his leg at 40, losing and still fighting. That's a good idea and good for his health. Someone, Matt Serra, please stop this man. I thought you loved him. Last on the list is B tier Andrei Arlovski, the champion of the heavyweight division in 2005, nearly 20 years ago. He's 44 on a 3-fight losing streak, and guess what? He's not retiring. That can't be good for your brain, Andre. Alright, that's it for this tier list. I'm trying something different. Let me know if you like it by hitting like, subscribe. Lets me know what content you want from this channel moving forward. And that's me. There's way more I can add to this list. There's other tier lists I can do, so hit that like button if you like this and let me know. I'm out.